Namaste everyone. I think one of the things as spiritual sadhakas that we will all agree is that our morning routine can be really powerful. Like if we were able to get a set of practices done or some meditations and stuff done in the mornings, then that will have a really good boost for the entire day. Lately I have been feeling that there are a lot of little things that I want to ideally do in the morning and in the correct order for it to have the right impact. I thought it was time for me to jot my morning routine down and have it accessible even on my mobile phone, so it'll also help the discipline. Like if I wake up someday and I'm kind of not sure how to start, then I can just refer to my mobile routine, and then in this video I'll be creating this routine and you can watch it, and hopefully it'll give you a lot of ideas as to what you want in your own morning routine, and also going about and structuring it out like I'm doing, and it'll help you stick to it. So hey to all our morning routine. So Trello is my instrument of choice. Trello is a really nice project management tool, which probably is it's actually a professional tool which is used a lot for project management. When we have a large project with multiple people involved, then Trello can be a really nice place to arrange everything. In Ayurveda, they say that dinacharya is one big factor which ensures you have good health, because you're supposed to follow certain rules and regulations on a daily basis, and that will ensure that you most likely won't fall ill at all. So towards that, this is the dinacharya board, and eventually I would like to have routines for evening, afternoon, seasonal, etc. But right now I'm just talking about morning routine. For me, morning routine, the first thing that will get added in is my yoga practices plus meditation. This kind of goes hand in hand because that's how I do it. And when I talk about yoga practices and meditation, I'm talking about my Isha Foundation related practices. So in case you are a Isha meditator, then typically what I'm doing on daily basis is Shakti Chalan and Shunya meditation. So Shunya anyway happens later in the day. Shakti Chalan would ideally happen in the morning, and meditation I usually do breath watching, which we learn in the advanced program called Samyama. So these two will get added in, and this has to be done empty stomach. So I can't have any food or anything before this practice. The other thing I want to add over here, this actually includes Hatha Yoga, or it will also include some physiotherapy exercises which I have, or just some warm-ups or exercises which I do. So typically this is about 1 hour, because Shakti Chalan is usually 40 minutes and meditation will be 15-20 minutes. So this will be 1 hour minimum. And this one can be anything from 15 minutes to 30 minutes. So these two are my key factors which I've added in here. Now, thing is that fitness activity will generally happen before yoga practices. That's how they have told us in Isha. Now, the tricky part is that ideally, if we want to do our yoga practices, we want to have our stomach clean. Which means, basically need to go to the toilet, and it's not like the moment you wake up, you'll end up having your call to shit. So we don't get our stomach clean. Now, one good trick I've realized, something that my dad calls water therapy. When I searched online, there are different things which are being called as water therapy. What I mean here is, what my dad does is, right after he wakes up, he drinks 1 liter of water. So I also tried it a few times because it worked so well for him. The advantage of water therapy is that right after you end up guzzling down 1 liter of water, you do end up needing to go to the toilet within 5-10 minutes or 15 minutes. And so that becomes a very holistic way of kind of inducing toilet also, and the water therapy by itself has a lot of benefits. Now again, for my mother, this thing doesn't actually suit her. But I have tried it and I really like it, so I want to add this into my routine. You should plan this out as per your own prakriti inclinations and what makes sense for you. But I would also like to add a little note that water therapy by itself might be something that is an acquired taste of sorts. Maybe initially you may find it very awkward, but over time you might be able to get used to it, and it may be very beneficial for you. So this would be roughly, I would say, 15 minutes, because usually when I wake up I am very thirsty, so I can easily guzzle down 500 to 700 milliliters of water. So 1 liter is just little more than that, and it's not necessarily 1 liter, even 750 800 ml if you can guzzle down, that's fine. And after this we basically have a toilet call. Now we can also have a bath, but I'm going to keep it as optional because see, I know some, especially South Indian families, they have this strict routine of bath very early on in the day, but I don't come from such a family and I don't have such a strict thing of having a bath, so I don't see any reason to force myself, but it is good to have a bath. See, yoga practices ideally needs to happen before sunrise, or even if I do it after sunrise, then it can happen 1 hour after sunrise. So I don't want to do it 2 hours or 3 hours after sunrise. It is not really the best time. Obviously the best time is 3:34 in the morning, but if we are doing this whole routine, let's say for toilet call also we'll put 15 minutes. I know some people might feel it's too fastidious to even slot timings for this, but that's how, if we really want a proper routine, that's how we need to do it. If you've lived in an ashram or something, you will realize this all needs to be considered, because a lot of times they have the Guru Puja timing at 5:30. If you want to reach for Guru Puja in a certain state of having had a bath and having stomach clean and all, then you need to plan all this stuff in this way. Otherwise you will not be able to do it. A lot of times what happens is people do the Guru Puja, then they start for the practices and then they need to go to the toilet. That's just wrong, because Sadhguru has very clearly mentioned that once you start your yoga practices, you should not be drinking water, going to the bathroom or any such thing, because it changes your entire body constitution and then the practice is changed. So you can't be in a meditative state, then all of a sudden say, okay, I'll take a toilet break and come back, and then your meditation is broken basically in that middle. So everything is optional, but if we put a time for it, then we will put, for me, I can put as little as 15 minutes, but if you need more, you should think of it. Ideally, if you want to do this early morning, you can't do more than 15 minutes, because this already is taking 45 minutes of your time. If we want to start our practices at least by 6:30, which is sunrise, that means I have to start all this stuff by 5:45. So by 5:30, all this needs to start. Ideally, of course, we start at 3:30. I mean, I love the 3:30 mornings, but it's a little difficult. So one thing that I like to do is that I like to do I would call it early morning meditation. So this meditation will happen before all this stuff. So 15 to say 30 minutes also, how much ever we want to do. I don't like starting my day with a lot of activity like this, because this includes on the light and going to the kitchen and doing something. So I prescribe to this method where it is even like certain Buddhist monks, what they do is the moment they wake up, like lying in the bed itself, you become aware, and there itself you will sit up and do some meditation. So I really prefer that, because right away after I wake up, I don't really want to get into activity. So I would slot this early morning meditation, and usually I do breath watching, which comes very naturally to me, and it's really wonderful. And breath watching is something you can literally sit up in bed and do. Even if you're not sitting up, literally when you're lying down, you can do breath watching, because technically what Sadhguru has said, and even a lot of ashram people follow, is you have to be aware of your breath all the time actually. So this is, I feel, a great start. After that, we can go in for water therapy, toilet call, bathing. For water therapy, we would also brush our teeth and all. So that now brings me oil pulling. If I want to, because I would like to do oil pulling, which is done before brushing our teeth generally. So, but then I actually saw some videos by foreigners about oil pulling, and some of them actually do it after brushing their teeth, which I find a bit strange. But So if you want, we can do an oil pulling also like before this thing. So oil pulling. Now another surprising thing about oil pulling, because I saw and I did the Ayurvedic course by Robert Svoboda on oral hygiene, and they actually mentioned that oil pulling should be done for as much as 40 minutes, which I cannot do if I fit it in here. So I can only put 15 minutes to 20 minutes. I cannot do 40 minutes of oil pulling at this stage. Otherwise, what is done is I put oil in my mouth and then I do morning meditation, which is a bit strange. But again, if it's breath watching, it's fine, because breath watching is, as I mentioned, it is supposed to happen all throughout the day through all activities. So there is no problem if I do oil pulling. So I must mention here, by oil pulling, I don't necessarily mean actually, making the gargling motions. I actually just put some oil in my mouth and I keep it. That is the Ayurvedic form of oil pulling, is slightly different from this other more popular form. In Ayurveda, they just, I think it's called Gandusha or some other thing it is called. You just put oil in your mouth and you keep it. Little bit swishing I may do, but not very actively. So I'll put oil pulling. So oil pulling will go before this. So you realize this is why I wanted to design my morning routine, because this is a lot of stuff. This is 1 hour of things. And I have not even started my yoga practices. So this works for me only if I wake up at 5. And assuming I don't go for that Guru Puja thing, which Isha people will do. Otherwise, if I'm going for that Guru Puja, I have to wake up at 3. But the other problem is, if I wake up at 3, then this 15-30 minutes is a meditation. After that, 1 hour is actually activity. 1 hour is not going in meditation. And if you wake up at 3:30, which is Brahma Muhurat, you want to spend at least that 1 hour straight in a meditation activity. So you see, that is why I am a little bit, that is why I need to design this whole routine, because it's not fitting much. Anyway, I think this is all, but I don't have another thing to add here. So, after the yoga practices, when we finally, after all of this stuff, we are able to eat a little bit. I need to have my thyroid medicines, and I can have neem and turmeric tablets. Recently, I have started it. I got these 2 tablets from Isha Life. Obviously, the ideal thing was for us to have that fresh powder and create the balls. That's not going to happen. So another friend of mine just started having these, and I thought also, why not? So I've just started these. At least that way we are having neem and turmeric. Okay, so we do thyroid, neem and turmeric. And then I would like to have, I don't want to call it breakfast, because I don't actually want to have breakfast at all. I would like to call it, let's just call it, let's create a new call. So what I would like to have ideally is soaked peanuts, honey plus pepper, and that's all. And if I want to have, I can have some detox kind of a juice, which is optional. There are many days where I wake up and feel like having a juice. Then I do a juice of coriander or mint or whatever leaves are available, or some fruit. I just put it and make a juice. That's nice. The soaked peanuts and honey pepper actually is the routine that is given for when we do the Mahashivratri sadhana. In that, we need to soak peanuts, and we have bilva leaves or neem leaves soaked in honey overnight with some peppercorns in it, and then we are supposed to consume those. I love that routine, and I think that's a great routine to start. So peanuts will give us a protein boost, and honey pepper is also, I think, really good. Honey is sweet, which helps, because many times I do like having some sweet thing. Pepper will balance that out, and optional detox juice if I feel like it. I feel this is a great combination. If I have a nice handful of peanuts, then this will sustain me easily till 10 or 11 o'clock, where I have my first meal. I usually have only 2 meals in a day, so 10, 11 is good for a first meal. So if I have soaked peanuts in the morning, especially if I am waking up at 5 and all, then it's a good combination. 15 minutes, let's look at 30 minutes in the morning, 20 is So 45 minutes, 1 hour, 1.5 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours 15 minutes, which is fine. It doesn't seem too bad. If I wake up at 5:30, then a 3 hour 15-minute routine gives me like till 8:15. It's still late because ideally I want my yoga practices to happen at least by sunrise, which is 6:30. So if I need to do this at 6:30, I need to do this stuff by 5:15, 5:30. So I think for me, with this kind of a routine, I'm looking at waking up at 5 a.m. Then all this stuff falls properly. All of this is assuming that I'm doing my yoga practices in my room itself or just outside, not going somewhere to do it. Which would, otherwise that would be another 10 minutes and stuff, 10-15 minutes.